To get started there, why don't you talk to me about your growing up as a youth? I know your dad was in the Navy. How did that shape you as a youngster?
Yeah, my dad taught me patriotism. He was very big on that. He was a supporter of President Eisenhower, and you should probably know Denison voted Democratic in that time. So he was in the National Guard before he married my mom, and he was part of the National Guard that put down the riot in Sherman, the famous one. And what he gleaned from that, what he told me, and he said it quite often, was if you ever are in a crowd and someone in the crowd starts doing something illegal, get out. Because he thought the people who were standing around looking at it were just as guilty as the people who were performing it. And then he married my mom, and he had a job as a railway mail clerk, which Denison was a hub for that. And he had that job the whole time that I lived in Denison. And when the Second World War started, he was born in 1909, so he was 32. So when it started, he was married, he had a government job, he had 2 kids, because I was born 3 weeks before Pearl Harbor. And so he was not eligible for the draft, at least at first, but he wanted to go into the military to fight in the Second World War. And that was a point of contention between he and my mother for about 2 years. And he finally won, and he joined the Navy at age 35 or so in 1944. And so he served on USS Cabot, and he went to Okinawa during that time. He was in the typhoon in Okinawa. He was telling me about it. And so I was always proud of my dad for doing that. And growing up in Denison was wonderful. All of my father's friends had served in World War II, and they played bridge a lot and had people over. And I remember listening to the stories of their actions in World War II, and it was really a great time to be immersed in that kind of attitude, as you fight for your country if you need to or if you have to, and to be patriotic and to support the government and the town and everything. I remember when we had, I guess it was the 75th anniversary of the founding of Denison, everybody had to dress up in period clothing. And the first time I saw my dad in a beard, he really went all out for that and dressed me in a likewise thing. So Denison, growing up, I started first grade in 1948 and graduated from Denison High School in 1960. And it was a wonderful experience. At the time, I didn't know how wonderful it was because that's all I knew. But looking at it now, it was the people, our friends we had, and my parents had lots of friends. They were all wonderful people. I never was told that I had to stay in any one particular spot, when I was playing as a youngster. So starting in the first grade, I wandered all over the place. I even went downtown one time by myself when I was about 6 or 7, and I took a wrong turn, and I didn't recognize anything. So I went to a person's house, called my home, and said, my famous words were, "Dad, do I turn left or right?"
He said, "Don't, I'll be there."
He knew the police, and so he just called the police and had them pick me up.
If we could move now, when is it that you got interested in flying? Was it as a youth or was it later on?
It was when my father joined the Navy in 1944. My mother insisted that she go with him when he did his tech training, and that was in San Francisco. And she wasn't supposed to do that. It was not legal or not allowed in those days. But my mother is a very strong woman, and she took both my sister and myself. And the story is, and I barely remember it, but I do remember it, that she put us on the. So she came in and asked for housing. You're not authorized housing was the answer. So she put the two kids on the counter and said, we're staying here until we get a house.
Wow.
So some of my earliest memories was in San Francisco, and that's probably where I got introduced to flying, because when we lived there in Navy housing, there were airplanes all over the time. It was during the war, and they had explosions out in the mountains. They were testing ordnance, and it was a very busy time. And in the Navy housing, there were hundreds of kids, so it was just a candy store of activity. And so Dad went off, I'm sorry, in the Navy, and before he left, he gave me a rubber airplane about this wide and this long. It was a hard rubber airplane, and I played with that. I remember doing it, the lives and dives and everything, and that's where I got the love of flying. And then coming back to Denison, 1948, 49, so there's Perrin Air Force Base, and I went to every air show in my conscious memory. I remember when I was 7 or 8, I was allowed to get in the simulator, the F-86 simulator, I suppose, or maybe a P-80. But anyway, it was not a elaborate simulator as they have today, of course, but it was up, down, left, right, and roll, and it was really fun. And I got a little exuberant with it. They took me out because I was.
So you graduate from high school,
Right.
And you're going to go to SMU,
Right.
For both your undergraduate and master's degrees.
That's correct.
Now, ROTC, was that Air Force ROTC, and was always the intent to go into the Air Force afterwards?
Always the intent. My goal was, when I was in high school, was to be a military test pilot in the Air Force.
Why test?
Because of Chuck Yeager. In 1947, he broke the speed limit, or speed barrier. It was something I was aware of, and I was just in the first or second grade, but I remember it well, and I remember being fascinated with that, and it just stuck with me. That's what I want to do, and I think it's a mixture of patriotism and the love of excitement, which I do love that, and it just looked fun too. Just absolutely fun.
That means you have the right stuff then. I know it was always to be a pilot, and it is quite a long and involved and a very interesting story about how you initially were not pilot qualified.
Right.
But you never wanted to be a navigator.
Well, yes.
It was always going to be a pilot.
Well, yes, I would do anything I could to be a pilot, yes.
Very quickly, just talk about the hard contact lenses and the things that you did to get your eyesight.
I was in ROTC between my junior and senior years in college. There's a ROTC boot camp, and they called it Summer Training Unit. And it was like boot camp, where you have to stand at attention, you have to march, and they yell at you and all that. I got my first ride in a jet, T-33 there, and it was wonderful. And then after that, they do a physical to qualify for the flight indoctrination program, the FIP. And so what that meant was that that's my senior year. If I passed that, then I would take flying lessons, gratis the Air Force, at least to the point of solo. And I really, really wanted to do that. Well, I flunked the eye test, and it was like 20-25. It was not, I was just slightly below it, but there was no way I could talk my doctor into having anything other than what he saw. So I was disqualified from pilot training selection and to the FIP program. I go back to SMU, and the professor of air science, Lieutenant Colonel Darian's his name, wonderful guy. I went to him almost crying. Don't want to cry in front of my commander, but sir, what can I do? Can I get a waiver? I was the first one to check for a waiver. That wasn't forthcoming. And so I said, what else can I do? And he said, well, I had no intention of going to graduate school because I wanted to be a pilot, and as soon as I could get to pilot training, the better. And he said, go to graduate school. There was a program called, I forgot what it was, but anyway, it was
Delayed entry.
Yeah, and I was assigned to the. Do you remember the outfit when you're in the reserve and you go to graduate school? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forgot what it was called, but
today we call it delayed entry.
Okay. So I was in the reserves, and I was commissioned in June of 1964.
Initially as a navigator, or just as an Air Force officer?
Just as an Air Force officer, and I did before I went to graduate school. There was a time that I did have orders to go to nav school, so I was going to go to nav school if I didn't go to graduate school. Mm. So anyway, I got that postponed. And that gave me 2 years to try to pass the eye check. Well, Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth, and I'm in Dallas, and so I made several trips to Carswell to take the test. And I always flunked it until the last time I took it. Now, the reason that I was able to pass it was that Dr. Levinson in Denison, family friend, optometrist, wonderful guy, outfitted me with hard contact lenses, which had the effect of reshaping my cornea. And so I could see almost like a hawk, 20/20, maybe even a little bit better. So I passed that, and as soon as I passed that, I put in the request to go on active duty. And luckily, I was about a month away from getting my master's degree, so I was able to finish that and then go directly into pilot training.
Karma, providence, whatever you want to call it, it worked out.
It worked out.
I'm going to jump just a little bit farther ahead. It's a wonderful story about chasing clouds in a T-33, because I believe that was one of the first things you said you really wanted to do was see what flying in a cloud was like.
That's right. I flew a little bit at SMU, but it was I didn't have a lot of money, and I didn't fly with an instructor. It was just a guy who didn't mind if I shared the expense of flying. And I never went through a cloud. I've always wondered, in those puffy white things, they look so magnificent up in the sky. What's it like to fly in it? Well, it looks like fog. That's what it looks like.
It does, but you and I both know what it is like to chase clouds. So
yes.
To go cloud busting, and I always feel sorry that the normal citizen doesn't know what that's like.
Yes, it is wonderful. It is.
I'm going to jump now to Vietnam, and you flew a number of different aircraft in combat in Vietnam. Right. Could you kind of talk about the three of them?
Well, the first airplane that I was assigned after pilot training was a KC-135 as a co-pilot. And this was, I graduated from pilot training in December of 1967, and Vietnam, of course, was really ramping up then. And so in 1968, I went on 2 temporary duty assignments to Thailand to fly refueling missions for the combat fighters in Vietnam. And while I was, it was that, and then when I got what they call it, change of assignment anyway, to go to Vietnam to fly C-130s. About 3 years after I was a tanker, I started being a tanker co-pilot, and about 3 years later then I went to Vietnam in a C-130. And I quickly upgraded to aircraft commander because I had a lot of flying time. And I flew C-130s, and then while I was there for a year in Thailand, I flew the OV-10 twice. It was just as a guy who wanted to fly the OV-10. The backstory on that was that I had orders to fly the OV-10, and they were canceled at the last minute and put me in the C-130, so I was very disappointed. I really wanted to know what the OV-10 was like, and it was wonderful.
For those wondering there, a KC-135 is an aircraft that refuels other aircraft, mostly fighters in this time in Vietnam. The C-130 is a wonderful airplane, and yes, we're still flying it today. Theater airlift is what it is, moving cargo and people. And then an OV-10 normally is associated with FACs, forward air controllers, right, assisting the troops that are on the ground or spotting and looking for enemies for either artillery or for the ground troops to come in, or for airborne forces to be able to drop ordnance on them. So now we go from there, and you're going to go to reconnaissance aircraft, a little bit into test pilots, and then back into reconnaissance airplane. You're one of the few, in fact, the only person I know that's flown all three of the old generation of reconnaissance aircraft. The RB-57, the U-2, and then the SR-71. RB-57, was that fun to fly, or was
Yes.
that a lot of work?
Oh gosh, it was great. It had dangerous flying qualities on it. And they talk about the coffin corner of the U-2, where at maximum altitude, you're just a few knots away from Mach Buffet, and then you're also close to stall, because your dynamic pressure, your calibrated airspeed is slow, but your true airspeed is high, and that's the same thing with the SR-71. Is that the SR-71 had to go high to go fast because of the dynamic pressure limits. But the RB-57F had a very mean Mach tuck, and if you exceeded the Mach tuck limit, the nose would go down immediately, and as was demonstrated, the airplane broke up in 3 seconds.
It's flying at speed or at altitude causes all types of different things, and that's why there's different kinds of airspeeds, whether it be calibrated, whether it be true, whether it be indicated. And so you want to always look at the speed that the aircraft is feeling for its, not only its wings, but also for its engines. And we'll talk a little bit about the spikes on an SR-71 here in a second. But one question I've always wanted to know, how hard is it to land a U-2?
It's the hardest airplane I've ever landed. There's some compensating features on the U-2. Like on the U-2, if you look at the wingtips, there's 2 skids on it, because it's very difficult to land the airplane without having one skid touch the runway. I always tried to do that, and I could do it, and if it was a 15-knot headwind, I could keep the wings level so they wouldn't, but other than that, it's always going to hit. The idea in flying the U-2 is the fuel is in the wings, a lot of it, and as you do each landing on downwind, just before you turn final to land, you have to balance the fuel. You've got to do it every time. And there was a little pointer on the yoke, and if the pointer was over to the left, you would put fuel over to the left until the pointer came up to the center. And I would try to do that just as I was turning, but I have that done. So it's perfectly balanced. Then you have a fighting chance of not having the wingtip hit the ground early. But the first time I landed the airplane, I was one of the last people to check out in the A model. That was the first airplane, the first U-2 I flew, with a J57 engine, and an engine that chugged, and it was in the flight manual that you go from idle to takeoff power, for instance. You're going to have about a 5 or 6 second time that the airplane goes, and it's normal. The flight manual said that if you are landing and you need to go around for some reason, that chances are you're going to touch the runway because of this delay in the power response. Well, the first time the instructor pilot and the flight manual talk about full stalling the airplane before you touch down. And maybe in my arrogant ways, I thought, well, I think I'll land the airplane like I normally would land an airplane, just kind of fly it on. So my very first landing, the U-2, I came down. My instructor pilot was on the ground talking to me on the radio, and he didn't give me any guidance. But I came in and I touched down. The main gear is the nose wheel, and you steer with the back wheel. Something I'd never seen before. And as soon as I touched down the main gear, I was looking at the sky. It was bounced, and it wasn't a small bounce. So remembering that thing, I calved the power, and it did catch before I came back down on the runway. So I flew around, and then I called him on the radio, and I said, it was Jim Thomas is his name. He said, Jim, would you tell me when I'm 3 feet above the runway? Because now I'm going to fly it the way that the flight manual dictated, by stalling go to 3 feet or lower and stall the airplane. And I'd never stalled an airplane completely before touching down. But that's what you got to do.
To the pilot.
Yes.
For those listening, stalling an aircraft meaning the wings no longer are producing lift.
Yes, you're going down.
2 stories on the U-2, and then before we move on. One, I'd heard that if for every knot above stall speed, you would glide another 1,000 feet down the runway. I don't know if that's true or not.
It's true, no flap. A no flap landing in the U-2, I flew 4 different types of U-2s, A, D, C, and F versions. If you're a no, okay. The other thing is the U-2 has a drag chute. It has flaps, and that helps too. If you have no flaps, no drag chute, then you have to be exactly on speed, and I've demonstrated that myself. And when we had a check ride, we always had to do a no flap, clean landing. You've got to fly exactly what the approach speed is, depending on what your gross weight is. If you are 1 or 2 knots higher than that, and I did this, I did it practicing, and when I was training, you go to idle, and I went the entire length of the Edwards runway, which is 12 or 16,000 feet. I was probably about 5 knots high, but 5 knots high is nothing in a normal airplane. But in the U-2, it's so clean and so aerodynamically streamlined that it's not going to touch the ground for a long time.
Amazing. The other story that I heard of is, we always laugh when I would go into Beale, where stateside U-2s and then the SR-71s were. I always had the El Camino chase car behind there. We always heard that there was the guy in the car running down the runway behind you, telling you how high you were. I didn't know if that was true or not.
It is true in Strategic Air Command. I flew the U-2 for Edwards for testing, and we didn't have Caminos.
It was always fun to be able to watch the El Camino to get to be going 100 miles an hour down the runway behind a U-2.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to shift to the SR-71. You've been through the RB-57. You've gone to test pilot school, and you're now a test pilot. Your dream job, the job you always
Absolutely,
wanted?
it sure was.
And you're now in the SR-71. And you flew missions over the then Soviet Union, Communist China, North Korea. We're going to spend a little bit of time, if you don't mind, over what I think are your two most interesting missions. Can you talk about the problem you had with the engine spike after Murmansk in Russia, or in Soviet Union?
First of all, we did not overfly the Soviet Union or Communist China, but kind of a funny thing about it, the Soviet Union claimed 100 miles from their shoreline as their territory. International norm is 12 miles, 12-mile limit. We flew literally at 12 and a half miles from their
But
shore.
you're stimulating their air defenses and getting their electronics so you can sniff them.
And taking pictures.
Yeah.
And if we went into a bank, we could take about 100 miles over.
When you're 15 miles up, you can see a long way. Yeah.
So that's what we were doing. Murmansk was one of our most important missions. Before we had the detachment at Mildenhall, RAF Mildenhall in England, we would fly from Beale,
Northern California,
to Soviet Union, take pictures and fly back. It was a 10 and a half hour mission. I was on one of those 10 and a half hour missions. And I had it wasn't a spike problem, it was a fuel oil leak in my left engine. And so we had, since all pilots want to continue the mission, and so we were, the SR-71 was such an asset and such a valuable and expensive item. We had a checklist which told us exactly what we were supposed to do if we had a problem. And a indication of a oil leak was one of those. And they had them to land as soon as possible, land when practical, continue the mission, but don't fly a second loop, don't refuel again. Those types of categories. And this was they land as soon as possible. And as soon as possible means also the political situation. There were some countries that I would think would be neutral that we could not land in, that we would bail out and crash the airplane before we would land there. But any NATO country we could land in. So when this happened, I was about 60 miles off the coast of Norway, and there was a military civilian base called Buda, B-O-D-O, and the O with a slash in it. And so our planning to fly all the missions took several hours, and the very good coordination between the pilot and the backseater. The backseater was the reconnaissance systems officer, and he had the responsibility of running the checklist, talking on the radio, making reports, navigating the airplane, and running the sensors. So he had all of that to do, and putting up with the pilot.
Because in their own mind, yes.
The pilot just flies the airplane and flies it very carefully, because it's at Mach 3, if you deviate your flight path 1 degree, you're going to have over 3,000 foot per minute rate of climb or descent. And the airplane was just a 1.5 G airplane. That was the limit. And obviously you can't do much of this without over-G'ing it. So my main job was to keep the airplane steady.
And no autopilot back then?
No, we had an autopilot. We did.
But just altitude hold, or?
No, we didn't have altitude hold.
Heading hold?
We had, yes, we had heading hold, but we flew in nav mode, which means the roll, the turn of the airplane was slave to the navigation system, which was very accurate. It was accurate within a quarter of a mile. That's why we flew with 12 and a half miles, so it would give us that quarter mile.
Of course.
And if you're
What's
going
the max bank angle then, if you can only take a G&a?
35 degrees.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 45 degrees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 45 degrees.
And stay level
Yes,
and not over GV airplane.
that's right. 45 degree, that was our escape maneuver. If we were fired on, we never flew at max Mach in our take area. Our max Mach was 3.3, Mach 3.3. We would fly, we would never be ordered to fly more than 3.2, so we would always have that little acceleration margin. If we had an indication that we were fired on, we would first advance the throttles, because we always had lots of power. We had more power than was required for our mission. To accelerate, and then we would climb, and we would turn, and the most important thing is jam the missile.
Commanders.
So if they even had a bead on us, a great bead on us, and we got the electronic notification that we were under attack, then I really don't think, at least in those days, that there was be a chance of them hitting us from that. There's always that lucky shot, of course, but I never was concerned about it.
Just backing up here a little bit for the tape here. Mach varies with altitude because it's very temperature directed, but if we assume generically that Mach 3, 3 times the speed of sound, is around 2,200 miles an hour. That means he's traveling 1 mile every second and a half. And we're up at 80,000 feet plus. That's 15 miles in the air. So he's moving very fast and getting there very quickly. Okay, so you have this oil indication that land as soon as possible, and you're going into Bodo.
Yeah, I was on the tanker when this happened, and there's a big red light that comes on, and the one in the back seat too, and simultaneously the back seater said, we have a warning light. This is warning and caution, red and yellow. And so I disconnected from the tanker and came back and looked at it and noticed that it was the oil system that's telling me that it's leaking. And so we knew, both of us knew exactly what to do. There wasn't any discussion about that. We were at 60 miles from Buda. It was the closest place, so we told the tanker, as was normal ops, the tanker was to stay there and until we released them, in case they needed to relay a message or give us more fuel. So we just turned to Buda and got radio communication with them. And in those days, this is what made them change the procedure. I was told not to ever say on the radio that I was an SR-71, and I was to say I was flying an Air Force tactical aircraft. Well, that didn't work too well with the Buda guys. They asked me, I think, 3 times what my aircraft was, and I kept telling them the Air Force Tactical. And finally, I said, "Well, I'm too busy to talk right now," so I couldn't say the airplane. And so by the time we got into eyesight at the tower, there's no doubt what airplane was coming in. You want to tell you the story about the commander?
No, that's a really great story, but we're
Okay.
going to move on from that.
All right.
Again, for the tape here, the standard query that comes from most of the control agencies is type of aircraft, souls on board, and fuel on board, because that will determine what response that you get, whether you're going to get 5 engines there or whatever. That's back during the time they phoned the runway, if it was required. This one didn't require it. The one that I want to go in there, because it's like everybody's classic. Would you like some water here?
No, it's all right.
It's kind of classic, everybody's nightmare they can equate to it, and that is coming out of Okinawa to go to North Korea. First of all, talk a little bit about the SR-71 and why you had to hit a tanker right after you took off.
Well, we took off with a half a fuel load. The full fuel load is 80,000 pounds of fuel. The airplanes, which incidentally is 80,000 pounds of fuel, is exactly the same maximum gross weight of a 18-wheeler. What do you think? You have this airplane and you have inside the equivalent of an 18-wheeler, fully loaded. So it's a very critical situation with an airplane that's delicate. So it's best to take off with a half a fuel load, and that's for if you lose an engine immediately after takeoff, then you have the power and the controllability to handle it. If you're that heavy, you wouldn't have that option. You would crash if you lost an engine immediately after takeoff that heavy. So that's really the reason why we took off. Now at Edwards, there were several missions when we couldn't get tankers that I did take off with a full load of fuel.
But they got a really, really long runway there.
We got a long runway, and my technique was to, you had to rotate at 180 just because of the tire speed. So you rotate, take off about 210, and I would stay
right on the deck,
10 feet above the runway until I got about 400 knots. And then that was okay. The single engine minimum control speed with a full airplane is more than 300 knots.
That's around 350 to 400 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's how fast you go, just to be minimally controllable with a single engine.
For a full fuel load.
The F-117 is very similar to that. That's exactly what we do. We take off and then just sit right there in ground effect till we got more speed, and then we would start a 1 degree climb. Okay, so here we are. Now this is the part that I always found funny. What is the hangar like after you taxi out initially?
It's full of fuel.
Why is that?
Because the airplane leaks fuel.
And why does it leak fuel?
Because there's no bladders. The skin of the airplane is the fuel tank, and since the airplane expands in flight, because the average skin temperature of the airplane at Mach 3 is 620 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hotter than your oven on the cleaning cycle. It is hot. The windows are hot. You could take, we always wore thick gloves. You put your glove on the window, you could hold it for maybe 5-6 seconds before it would burn you.
So the hangar is covered with fuel because
Yes.
there's no fuel bladders inside the airplane, and because of the heat, you know that the aircraft's skin is going to expand.
Right.
So you are leaking fuel.
Leaking fuel on the ground.
When you take off.
And the leaks could be even like 1,000 pounds in an hour. And so they don't fill the airplane up until you're ready to fly. Mm-hmm. So they fuel the airplane, and then a few minutes later we show up to fly the airplane.
So you've taken off out of Okinawa and you have the aircraft problem, and you realize you got to come back and land.
Oh, oh yes, okay. Yeah, that was a funny mission. I had so many things go wrong with it. I had an uncontrollable unstart, and unstart means that I lose 30% of the thrust in one engine, and I couldn't control it, and you can't go Mach 3 in that condition. So I had to turn around and go back abort the mission, which we always hated to do. And our procedure at the time was to land and taxi into the hangar so that they could immediately download the equipment. Well, obviously it really wasn't necessary to download the equipment because there wasn't anything to download. But also, when I landed the airplane and put the nose wheel down, the airplane started shimmying really, really hard. It was going back and forth like this. That stopped, but I came back so quickly that they left the normal arresting barrier on the runway, and normally when they know I'm coming back, they remove that. And so I ran over the arresting barrier, which blew out some tire or two on one of the trucks. So I've come up there, I've had an unstart, I've had to abort, I've had this shimmy, I'm losing some, blowing out some, and I said to we always talked on the radio to the commander, do you want me to taxi or do you want to tow it in? He said, I'll go ahead and taxi because the other tires were okay. Okay, so I taxi, and then per procedure, I go into the hangar And as I stop or try to stop, I put my feet on the brakes and nothing happened. It just went sliding right through the hangar. And there's a blast fence on the other side. And the blast fence, if I keep going straight, I'm going to hit it. And all this happened in 2 or 3 seconds. So I did all the procedure because I wasn't sure. I felt that it was slipping because of the fuel, but I went to the alternate steer and brake, and I cycled that a couple of times while I'm going up here. I couldn't shut down the engines because if I did that, I lost brakes and steering, and I'm going to have to steer. So I got outside the hangar and just able to turn the airplane about 30 degrees until the main gear, which had the brakes, got on dry ground. And as soon as it got on dry ground, it stopped. When I stopped, I was about this far from the blast fence and the wall of the hangar. Mm-hmm. It fit perfectly right there, and it was
better to be lucky than good.
It was luck. It was lucky. It was also lucky because they usually had the pressure suit people park their van in front of that, and that would have been a disaster. Yeah.
They obviously didn't expect it back that soon. So
thank God they didn't. Yeah. They didn't park it there, and that's right. It's because I came back so quickly. But that was a flight that was it was going to be an unrefueled flight. Mm. So I took off. 60,000 pounds. Not fully fueled, but more than half.
So heavyweight, got to turn around and land with less than full power. They don't have time to take the approach end cable. A cable is like a landing craft. Air Force runways normally have a cable at the approach end, one at the departure end, and sometimes one in the middle. So think of it like an aircraft carrier. So you hit it, it blows tires, you get a shimmy, you're coming back in to put it into the hangar. They haven't had time, because you just took off, to clean up the fuel inside the hangar. So you get inside the hangar and try to stop, and you can't stop. And now you're afraid you're going to run into the wall out in front of you.
Well, people ask me what was my most exciting flight. It was that one.
Did your RSO fly with you again?
Oh, yes. He was.
There are a gazillion stories, and they're all great. Yeah. It's important for everybody to know you have the most time in the SR-71 of any other person, correct?
Yes, sir. I was in there 11 years. Some say I got stuck in a job, but my goal when I went in the Air Force was to never have a staff job. I wanted to be a pilot and fly all these airplanes. And at Edwards, I had a chance to fly a bunch of them. I was checked out in the F-104, which was my second favorite airplane. That was a wonderful airplane to fly.
Short little wings.
Yes.
How many total hours do you have of all platforms?
I don't know, because I didn't
keep track of it?
I have my military records, which is 6,000 or something like that. But I also flew for United Airlines for
we're gonna get there.
a long time. And so I purposely didn't keep a flight log.
It's nice to be able to say that. I flew so much I didn't really worry about how many hours I had. No. Most of us that did have to go to staff jobs, I can tell you exactly to the 10th how many hours I have. But moving on, you're leaving the Air Force. You're gonna go be a test pilot for Northrop now.
That was the plan.
Why didn't that plan work?
Well, back up a little bit. Bruce Hines, a fairly famous test pilot. Mm-hmm. I was his co-pilot in the C-130s in Vietnam for just a couple of flights. We didn't have crewed. We just flew whoever was up there. And he was a recent graduate of the test pilot school. I wanted to go to the test pilot school, so I talked to him about that, and we were friends. Fast forward to when I did go to the test pilot school, Bruce Hines was a test pilot in the B-1 program. And so I met him again, and we renewed acquaintances. And then I flew the U-2 And then later, Bruce Hines wanted to fly the U-2, so I was his instructor pilot.
Nice.
Really, it really was nice. And so we flew that together for a while. And then when I left, when I went to SR-71, I still made contact with him because I went to the Society of Experimental Test Pilots meetings. There's one big one every year. So I would see him there, but then when I was at Edwards flying when I was left the operational end of the SR and went to the testing, about 3 years into that, I get a call from him, and by this time Bruce Hines is the chief test pilot for Northrop, and he was the head guy for the B-2, and he asked me if I wanted to. It was so classified at the time, he couldn't tell me what the airplane was, but he said, if you want, you can join us in the aircraft test cadre, and the airplane will be flying in sometime in the future. He was very vague on all this stuff. So I went down to Pico Rivera and interviewed with him and talked about that for a while. And so I decided, I had the best job in the Air Force, best flying job anyway. I was the operations officer and of the flight test for the SR-71, and I was 45 at the time, and at age 45, I'm not too old to get a civilian test pilot job, but I'm approaching that point where
that window will close.
That's right, and the aircraft people, the Northrop people, would love to have a real young guy with a lot of experience. Well, I had a lot of experience and was okay, so I figured this was my last chance to be a civilian test pilot, which I really wanted to do, and I thought that would be my job for the rest of my life. Well, so then I quit my job at Edwards, and I really was sorry to do that. Went to Northrop, and by the time I got there, they had put off the flight of the B-2. That's when I realized it was the B-2. I mean, I kind of knew it anyway, but so they made me a flight test engineer, and my job was to plan the testing of the number 3 airplane, which is the avionics test bed. But I'll fly until
the flying version came.
Yeah. So I was there for 13 months total. The first 6 months, very excited, and I flew the simulator, and I really was into it and everything. The last 6 months was drudgery, and I was not doing what I was
hoping to have done
or meant to do. Flight test engineer, and I went to meetings, and it just was not a job that I wanted at all.
So it was your staff job?
Yes, it was my staff job.
So did you fly a B-2?
I did not fly the B-2. I flew the simulator, but not the B-2. I was in the first ground school class too.
So then, what I'd like to just end up to round out your career is you're now flying with Boeing.
Well, with the United Airlines.
United Airlines.
I was a test pilot for United Airlines, and every airline has people who test their airplanes, and tests being what we call applications test. It's a systems test. Mm-hmm. It's not charting new territory in the airplane, but for instance, if a captain has a write-up that you can't duplicate on the ground, vibration or noise or something, then we take it up and test it out. Also, every airliner has their own maintenance plan. With United, about every 5 years, they would take every airplane and tear it down to nothing, almost, and build it back up. And they would do all the safety checks, do the x-rays on the structure of the airplane. And then when they put all the parts back together, then we would fly the airplane as to make sure that it's okay
like
for the public.
FCIF, if you're in
exactly.
the military.
To give you an instance, for a 747, the ground activity, the in-flight activity, and the post-flight would take about 12 hours. to thoroughly test a 747. 737 was probably the easiest, but I mean, because it was the shortest.
So which versions of the Boeing aircraft have you flown?
The Boeing 727, 737, 747, 57, 67, 777, and then in the DC-10 and the DC-8.
Wow.
And all at one time, they were all simultaneous, but then the DC-8 mercifully left the field.
Yeah, it didn't have a good rep, did it?
Well, I didn't like it because of the systems. It had the flight control, the flight engineer panel was actually the valves. That it was not anything electronic. It was all the actual valves, and the control harmony in the stick was terrible. And if there's a DC-8 pilot that's watching this, I'm sorry, but it didn't fly well at all. For instance, in a landing, you had to trim in the landing. Now, the first landing I got, my instructor didn't tell me that, and I got to start to flare, and I'm here like this, and I'm going like that. And he says, trim. That helped, but not too much.
Yeah, for the folks out there, trimming is a little tab on the different control surfaces that help you and assist, because the control surfaces are speed related, and if I can trim with it, that takes pressure off of what I'm trying to hold in the airplane.
Right.
My last question for you there, sir, actually my penultimate question. What would you tell a youngster today who's interested in flying? What's the most important lesson you learned?
Well, there's several. One is be focused, work hard, study, try to be the go-to guy when you find yourself in the world of airplanes, for instance. Don't even think about taking drugs. I mean, don't know. And be honest. All the good things I learned in Denison.
That was going to be my last question, is how did Denison help you to have the wonderful career that you've had?
It was extremely supportive, and the education I had here was great. It's wonderful. At the time, the only thing I would say that I would have changed in the curriculum was to have a calculus course. I didn't have, the first time I had calculus was when I went to college.
My grandson is getting calculus in 8th grade now.
There you go. That's it. But other than that, all the teachers were good. They were supportive. We knew the ones not to mess with. Well, yeah, it was good. I was in the band. I didn't play sports. I was in the band, and that was great.
You and Mr. Sullenberger.
That's right. He played flute or piccolo, and I played clarinet and saxophone.
Last question, or is there anything else that you would like to add, or anything else you feel important that we haven't talked about?
No, I don't think so.
Well, again, on behalf of Donna here, Main Street, and Denison, and Mayor Crowley, I know we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you again for coming out here, and especially thank you for this oral history